What is going on, Vibram Disc Golf Collectors Group? I know nobody's watching just yet, but that doesn't matter to me because most of you are going to watch this on replay. So there's a listing in the group right now for a Proto Trek, but it has an Ascent stamp on it, and so the questions went back and forth in that feed as to how do you tell the difference. So that particular disc, or that particular mold, should I say, is one of my favorites. So I've put a little bit more into learning about that disc, and so what I'm going to do is talk about the difference between just a regular Ascent, and then I'm going to go into the Proto Trek. I see Dustin's watching, Rich is watching. So I've got a bunch of different Ascent stamped discs here. Some of them are not actually Ascent, some of them are Proto Treks, but some are actually Ascent. So we're going to go through a couple of them, and I'll just show you what each one of these discs looks like and how they're just slightly different. And then hopefully you'll get a little bit more education on the Ascent. It's one of my favorite discs that Vibram has come out with. I know it's discontinued now, but in all honesty, there are thousands of them out in the wild. So if you want to try an Ascent, you shouldn't really have any issues. So to start off, let's talk about what most people are seeing out in the wild. Now, I don't really have a whole lot of, I grabbed some fancy discs, but what you're going to see in the wild, what's up, Talon? So what you're going to see in the wild is a lot of bottom stamped with the big numbers, okay? So these are the big number, the large number Ascents, all right? So the large number Ascent is going to be your most stable Ascent. That is a production Ascent, okay? Again, what you're looking for on that is the numbers in the boxes here are bigger, okay? Let me show you what a small number looks like, and you can see the difference, okay? That's a small number. So the numbers stamped in here are a little bit smaller, as you can see, and so that's really the big difference when people talk about a small number Ascent and a large number. Now, another thing that you'll notice, there's no number 1 down here. The latest small number mold had the number 1 at the bottom here. So you've got the small numbers and then the number 1, okay? So that's some of the newer ones. I don't have any on hand of the big numbers with a 1. I don't know, maybe Wade or somebody could comment and let us know if the number 1 came out with the large number. I'm not really certain. Now, what most people consider is the first run is this one, okay, the X Ascents, right? So when these came out, there was no numbers in these boxes. So that's your no number, or your pre-flight number is what I technically call them, but what most people will call your first run. But ultimately, probably the right terminology to use is pre-flight number, because who the hell knows what's actually the first run of any of these molds, right? So in any case, that's kind of your pre-flight number, your first run, right? So then they came out with the granites, which were the small numbers. Flew pretty much the same as the first run, or the pre-flight, in my opinion. The rim is pretty much the same when you're comparing side by side, okay? I know that was more me than disc. Now let me show you the difference here, and let me get real quick. So let me show you the difference between the profiles here of the large number and the small number, okay? So let me see if I can bring those to where you can see them. All right, there we go. All right, so in looking at those profiles there, whoop, there we go. You can kind of see that the large number on your, hell, I don't know what side it is, the green disc, you can see it's a little bit more bull-nosed. You can see it's got a lower center line, right? on that bullnose, it's a little bit beefier, right? Whereas that small number is a lot more beak. Okay, and what I mean by that beak is just this shape here. All right, now what we're going to look at with the Proto Ascent, and I've got a couple different ones. You're going to see these granites out in the wild. These granites look sort of like them, but they've got small numbers in them. If it's got small numbers, it's not a Proto Trek, okay? All right, if it's got numbers, it's not, I don't care what it looks like, it's not, okay? Now this one looks very similar in color scheme. Now granted, I'm colorblind, but if you're looking at the age frame, you know, they come out with the small numbers that look almost exactly like these two. Both of these are Proto Treks. They look very similar in the color schemes, but each one of these are very different from the regular small numbers. Here's another small number. Okay, again, this has got a, it's almost, if you run your nail, it's got almost a hook there on the bottom. The other thing is, if you run your nail this way with the small numbers, and you can even see it in the video, the small numbers are going to have a micro bead, what I call it. Right on the very edge down here, your small number Ascent's going to have a bead, and you can really tell right there. Okay, so when you're looking to identify, now granted this is a small number, so it's going to look like that, but here's the difference. Okay, your Proto Trek is not going to have that bead. It's going to be very rounded here. Now I've talked to Aaron in the past, and you know, Aaron, I believe, and he can comment here hopefully, that the rounded edge kind of gives you a false stability. So because it comes out of the hand a little bit more smoothly, you know, you're not getting as much pop on it, I think, is the explanation they gave. But in any case, this disc has got a rounded edge here, and then it's got more of a bull nose, okay, really short. Okay, what I mean by bull nose is this distance from here to here is a lot shorter than what you've got on the regular Ascent or the small number Ascent. Okay, when you look at this distance, it's stretched out a little bit more. Now I don't know what that distance is. It can't be very much, but it's just enough to make a difference, obviously. Now this disc is a lot more stable. It's a lot beefier. You can feel it in your hand. It's beefier. I seem to think that it's more the notch before the notch, so to speak. But as you can see, this one's the same way. Okay, let me try to hide my face so it's more the disc and not me. But you can see that it's a rounded edge here, and it's a little bit more bull nosed here. It's a little bit tougher, a little bit beefier looking. Let me put the small number next to this, and you can see what I mean. So you can see it's a lot beefier, a little bit shorter, a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit beefier profile. I'll show you against this one. So you can see it's a little bit shorter, a little bit stronger profile on that one. So anyway, I hope that helps you guys knowing the difference between a Proto Trek and a small number Ascent. Again, they're going to have small numbers and first runs that are going to have the bead. Okay, they're not all going to be Proto Trek, so you have to be careful. Most of them do look like this. Most of them are going to look this way. However, to my understanding, they did a run of granite. I was very lucky to have gotten this disc. I didn't know that this, you know, what it was really when I bought it many years ago now. But this is a Proto Trek, same rounded edge, same bull nose. So to my understanding, there is a run of Proto Treks that have the Ascent stamp that are granite chunks like this. So keep your eyes open, fellas. There very well may be more discs like this in the wild. Thanks, everyone.